Hello, Luca Nation.
Well, that was an interesting sounding starting there. Like, hello. So Andrew has
Luca
a party.
Nation.
He's got a party going on in the background, Luca Nation. I don't know if you can hear it or not. I don't know. He's gonna try to cancel it out. But this dude, he's living the life. It's Sunday. I wake up. Oh yeah, there she is. Hey, what is she asking if you want? Hey now, pal. I don't know. It sounded like a sombrero. She asked if you wanted a sombrero. Party it up. Party time. So this guy, I mean, just to live a life. I'm here. I wake up. I gotta clean the house. I gotta do some laundry. I gotta get the kids ready for the school week. Get myself ready for the work week. What's he doing? He's putting a sombrero on. And I don't know if you check the YouTube out, guys. But right now he's got a sombrero and nothing else on. So you make sure you watch those YouTube videos if you haven't checked this out on YouTube, because it's an entirely different experience. So Luca Nation, we welcome you to this fun Sunday edition, right? Nice little intro. All right, I'm turning it over to you, man. We got basketball to talk about, basketball results from yesterday, full slate. We got basketball games today, baseball still being played. I don't know if you're in the Northeast like me, but it is literally 92 degrees here right now. My kids are in the pool. It's insanity, and it's supposed to be like 65 tomorrow, so I don't know what that's going to do.
I woke up feeling I was just thinking about how we started. So guys, Luca Nation, if you guys have been with us since day one, I'm going to do a bit of a recap here. So we started this podcast. It was towards the end of The Last Dance, okay? It was towards the end of The Last Dance and the beginning of the NBA bubble playoffs, okay? End of July. We had an NBA bubble playoffs that were for the ages. It was interesting. The players were either loving it or they hated it. They were away from their family. And it was the beginning and the peak of modern NBA cards. We saw when Luka hit that three-pointer over Paul George. That was when his PSA 10 Prism became a high of $2,200. So just looking back, that was August of 2020. Mm-hmm. Then we started heading into the NFL season. We saw role players, Cage gave a play, DJ Chark. This would have been a nobody 3 years ago. We saw role player cards just going berserk. We saw quarterbacks that were 1 year in the league, Daniel Jones, going berserk. We saw vintage starting to go nuts. This was about September. Let me give you some context. September, October of last year, Bitcoin was at $10,000 to $13,000. $10,000 to $30,000 just last year, September, October of 2020. Nobody had heard of NFTs at all.
That's right. They were out there, just nobody mentioned it.
Dogecoin? What? Then we had the election, and as with the election, media cycle took over for a little while. And then things got berserk. End of December, we started to see cards go nuts. January 2021 was a boom. Top Shot exploded. The Jordan Fleer card sold for $750K. Stocks were running. Yep. Stocks were running to the moon. Bitcoin soon followed, going from 20K on December 20th to 56K by February 20th. So 2.5x return in just 2 months. And now it brings us here. The last 3 months, the last 90 days have been a bit of a correction. So that's what I wanted to start off with, Cage. You had a big auction end last night. I was going to give you the floor if you wanted to talk about that, because if you really think about it, if you guys have listened to us through this podcast, we've been through some ups and downs, not emotionally as much, but some emotions, but just prices. Yep. We probably have never seen volatility like this in the sectors that we talk about in a very long time, if ever. Definitely not in my lifetime. So here we are. 90 days or so, what it feels like a correction since, that February 20th, Bitcoin was 56K. The Jordan was a $750 card. Stocks were at all-time high. NFTs were the talk of the town. The last 90 days, we've pulled back. So before we got into NBA or anything like that, I wanted to open up today's Sunday morning edition of Lucas Tigers and Bronze with a little bit of a history of what happened in the last 9 to 10 months.
I love it because it makes the job so much easier. I mean, and really, guys, what he said there, it's a great history lesson. It really is, because where we are today with the hobby, with the market, with crypto, with Top Shot, with anything that you're investing in, right? With NFTs, it's important to look back. It's important to have a wide view of this stuff, right? Because I talk about this all the time, right? And people get mad at me. It's like, hey, everything's doing great if you go back and pan out a year. You pan out 3 months and all of a sudden, woo, it's pretty terrible. But what's funny is if we start to see a correction and a move back up, and we're all talking about this in the end of August or in September, the 3-month picture back might look really rosy, right? Because if it's starting to move up, you're comparing it to the lows of today, right? So 3 months from now, you might want to look at a 3-month picture and say, "Whoa, look, we're all going up to the moon." So it's really an interesting perspective to things that people don't want to hear because everybody wants to paint the stuff in the light most favorable to them. And what's fun about it is, guys, thousands of people listen to us, right? And we promise a lot of stuff. We really do. We promise to bring value. We promise to bring a sense of community. We promise to bring some education. We promise a lot of stuff here, but I'm going to tell you what we really promise, right? And I think it's a little different than what you're going to get everywhere else. My promise to you, and I think Andrew will double down on this, is we promise to tell you the truth. We promise to be honest with you, right? And you should expect nothing less than that. So I don't know if you're getting that from everybody else. Like, I'm not going to tell you it's to the moon, especially when the ship you got on has fallen off Earth, right? It's not going to the moon, guys. It's going in the opposite direction. So what Andrew told you is great because it allows us to be honest, because it's honesty put in perspective. It's harder for people to be honest if they told you 2 months ago you should be buying X, Y, and Z, because no matter what that is, it's most likely down, right? So now they got to double down and say, well, the reason why it's down is because of X, Y, and Z. Let me give you an example. Okay, let me give you an example. There are a lot of people out there who love Top Shot, right? I was one of them. I think Top Shot has been significantly and seriously mishandled. I really do. I think it was a great thing. I think it had such momentum behind it. Maybe it was unsustainable momentum, right? But I think it's been mishandled like you would not believe, right? And I think people, if they were being honest, most people would agree. You know who doesn't agree with that statement, at least on paper or while making statements? People who have a huge interest in it don't agree with that. And check out my Twitter account, guys, because the auctions ended last night. And literally, as soon as my auctions ended, and the biggest one that sold was a LeBron Hollow out of 32, sold for like 33,000 plus buyer's premium, right? Which is like, you see tweets from people like, if I listed a LeBron Hollow or a Cosmic right now, how fast would it sell for the max 250? All right, well, no one bid 250, but immediately, right? And give me some time here, guys, right? There's so much I want to say.
No,
right?
I was one thing I was going to say. You have vested interest in Top Shot.
I do 100%.
And yet,
Top Shot.
And this is what I love about you. I mean, we've known each other for 2 years, but really we've had like a relationship every day for 9 months. And I think you have more vested interest in the truth than your vested financial interest.
Well,
so
listen,
I like that a lot.
Top Shot's just the next thing, guys. I mean, let's be honest, right? Let's be really, really honest with each other, right? So people who have interest in Top Shot and NFTs and crypto and have moments and are buying this stuff and all have ETH in their Twitter names or Top Shot God or Top Shot 1%er or Top Shot Dog are all tweeting me last night saying, I can't believe it ended so cheap. Nobody knew about the auction. All right, well, the auction's been up for 3 weeks. It's Goldin's premier auction. He tweeted about it. Look, go back a couple. I think it was like a week and a half ago. He tweeted about that LeBron Hollow with a big fire emoji, and it was retweeted all over the place. They did that press about it, not about my stuff, although he did retweet my stuff about him yesterday. Right? People are talking about him. People know about him. But all of a sudden, once it ends, all of the talk is, oh, I would have bid on that if I knew about it. Okay, well, how did you not know about it? You're right. That's number one. Two, what I like to say is everybody on Twitter is a big talker, right? Everybody's got a huge wallet and woulda, coulda, shoulda until they actually have to put that money up. This is the crypto space. I'm sorry, it just is. But it's not just crypto, because you can take Top Shot and that Hollow and all that stuff out and replace it with literally days ago, Thursday, the Charizard sold for $240,000, including buyer's premium. And immediately following it, the Zard heads, the Poke lovers, the Comic-Con attendees, they all came out in droves, posting about on Instagram, that was a real good looking 7. That's an 8 by any stretch of the imagination. That's not a 10. Look at how much white there was on the back of that card. It's excuse driven. It's just crazy. Oh, how come Michael Jordan's card is down? It was 700,000. Now it's 240. Well, that one was an ugly one. Or no, guys, put it all in perspective to what Andrew started this episode with, right? People's money was booming. February was a high. People who were in Bitcoin for 10 grand months before, that was sitting there at $56,000, right? Everything was flying. Doge to the moon. Everybody's making.
Let me
killer money.
contextualize it even a
Please.
little bit more, if I don't mind, because my friend and I, we were talking about, I love waking up, drinking coffee, and looking at markets. I don't know. I've always liked that. I go on eBay sales. I go on TopShot sales. I go on crypto. And during the week, I look at stocks. It's just fun. I don't know. I've always liked markets. And we were talking, and I was like, bro, I famously keep saying, Bitcoin's the best investment that you can make.
Yep.
But I also say all this stuff is overextended. Watch out for, the Ethereum pump at 43. It's going to come back. And I keep telling Taylor, when it was at 70 cents Dogecoin, I was like, it's going to come. It's more likely to come back to 25 cents than go to $1. So we were looking at the crypto prices today, and he bought the dip. He bought the dip at 1900. And it seems like it's a good play if you don't have context of history. Just November 1st, Cage, do you want to take a guess what Ethereum was priced at? Or trading at, I guess, a better word?
Well, if Bitcoin was 10,000 and it went up 5x, it was actually like 60 at its high, right? So that means it's 6x. And let's call Ethereum at its high was 4,300. So I'll say 1/6 of that by math's about $700. So I'm going to say Ethereum was 750.
$350.
So that it's actually gone up 12x at its high. So
yes. So they're like right now. I'm taking a day trading class. People keep talking about buy the dip. I don't necessarily think you could buy the dip on an asset that has gone 12 to 15x, and now it's not 12 to 15x, but it's 6x.
Right.
That's not buying the dip. It's still a very expensive asset. So that's what I'm seeing in the market. That's just information, guys. Use it however you want. That's just what I was looking at this morning, and
But
I felt compelled to share.
What you just did is exactly the same thing that we talked about, which is whether or not it's a dip, whether or not it's a correction, whether or not it's a low price, high price, depends on your perspective and your graph. And those graphs, guys, this is the second part of this. People are storytellers. We got more influencers. By the way, just a little aside, take a look at what Lamim James posted this morning. The funniest shit about influencers at the Dallas show, right? It's the Spider-Man meme, but on steroids. It's like a circle of Spider-Man pointing to each other. And like half of them have microphones, half of them have cameras. And it's like the Dallas sports card show influencers. It's like, hey, shout out to all the cameramen, videos. I mean, it's really funny, right? So, but it's exactly what we're talking about. You see the thing,
Yeah.
right? So, I have a shirt idea for him, right? Because I wrote in my comment on it was, we think it and Lamim memes it. And, that should be his slogan, right? So make a t-shirt for me. I'll wear it. But, I mean, it's crazy stuff. It really is. And guys, just like that story is there, everybody's telling stories, right? If someone wants to tell a story about how Ethereum is up, right? Just use what Andrew just did. They would show you a chart that shows the November price of 350 and today's price of 1900 and say Ethereum is 6x from where it was, within the last year. If someone wants to tell a story to you that Ethereum is going to dirt and you should stay away from it, they'll show you Ethereum when VFriends was pumping the shit out of it and it was $4,000. Now it's 1900 and they'll say it's down 50% in a matter of 2 weeks. So it really just depends on the perspective. And you have to realize that when you are digesting that information that's out there. Now, here's the other fun, right? I had a lot of people messaging me. I would have paid more for the Top Shot moments. You shouldn't have done them on Goldin. Well, guess what, folks? There's more auctions ending tonight, right? Now you have no excuse. I got Zions. I got Lucas. The Durant run it back. They're all there. Let's see. Let's see. It reminds me of, I got to throw a movie quote in there. It's Lethal Weapon with Joe Pesci and Mel Gibson, and and Joe Pesci gets on the phone. He's complaining, and he doesn't realize he's talking to Mel Gibson, like right there. And he's worried. I'm gonna come down there. I'm gonna be mad at you. He goes, "Oh, you're a telephone tough guy, huh? You're a telephone tough guy." That's what this reminds me of social media. Everybody's a telephone tough guy. It's like, oh, I would have spent $100,000 on that. Well, why didn't you? It's amazing, and it's all over. It permeates crypto, it permeates the hobby. It's just like it's an excuse mentality, and everybody's trying to pump it up. And you know what it turns out to be, right? The comps are good when they're good, and they're bad when they're bad, right? So let's roll this into the Dallas show. Card Porn had a great post. Whether or not they're me, we won't get into that. But Card Porn had a great post, right? And that post was basically like, here's our summary of the Dallas show. right? People have seen and Shea Wei Vlogs did the same thing, right? He says, people have seen these recent sales, the recent PWCC auctions, the recent, auction prices, and the prices are low. But no, the sellers at the show, they just want to ignore those. They still want the comps from 2 months ago. So it's great when you do a show in February and Goldin's breaking all these records and they're saying, oh, look at the comp. I got to sell it for this. But then when, so eBay comps are good for you when they're good for you, but not good for you when they're not good for you. It's
when they're in your favor. I remember this when I went to the last show in February. This is February 2020, but if you guys remember, prices went nuts in February of 2020. Like we don't even remember that. We thought Zion. I remember Zion Prisms were like $45 in January 2020. They were $100 in February 2020, and everyone to a T, every single dealer was like, well, let's look up eBay, what the comps are. Okay, I'll give you 7% cheaper. We split the difference because the market was going up, right? But it's so interesting. It really is. It really is an interesting and a fascinating world.
It's becoming like a rant episode. But guys, this is really just educational. It really is. And also you should know, because I'll say it here for the record. I'm very happy with Top Shot, the results of the auctions for me, and I'll be happy with what it ends at tonight just because I was smart enough. I like to say lucky, but I was smart enough to get in early enough on the asset that what these things are selling for in the auction for me they are higher than where they were. Could I have sold these in February and March and be telling you guys, hey, buy these, buy them now, and then sell them at the high? I'm sure that's not how I roll, right? And back in February, by the way, I still believed in this stuff. Even in March, I would say I believed in this stuff. I really did, right? But watching it over time, watching what they've done, some of the stuff they're doing, and I don't want to crap on Top Shot too much. I love Jacob. I love the stuff, and I think it's a cool thing. But as far as like an investment-wise, as far as keeping your money in there, like it doesn't show like a confidence in your brand. That it basically like every week you're throwing a stimulus out there. There's free money for you. Here's free Dapper. Here's free this. Here's and now it's like I'm going to give you $16 if you tweet about the playoffs this weekend. And then there's more money. It's like continued stimulus checks. And you know what that does? And this will be my explanation of no one's really asked them. Right? So you talk about stimulus, right? You talk about inflation. You talk about like devaluing the money because we keep printing money. Well, they just basically keep printing Dapper, right? And Top Shot is on this Dapper thing. It's on this like non-cash Dapper thing. So part of why I did what I did was because when I sent that stuff over to Goldin auction, I couldn't get my money out. And I'm selling it for this funny money Dapper that unless they open like a Dapper champagne room, and I can spend it there. What am I doing with Dapper? I can't pay the IRS with Dapper, folks. It's just not the way it works. So, people are asking, why did I go this route? Well, when I sent that stuff to Goldin, it was a while ago, I had not even been able to withdraw $1 yet. And keep that in mind.
What I'm most proud of is how we went about it, right? So you guys and our Luca Nation is really understanding. It's a difficult scenario to play in when we own assets of things that we speak about. So what I'm most proud of is if you guys go back, and what's cool is all of our stuff is public. January, February, March, we talked about Top Shot. Since those moments were in Goldin's possession, you guys could go back and listen. I don't think we've talked about Top Shot once.
Nope.
Maybe on the periphery of like this might be going on.
Yep.
And that's what we try to do. And really, if you guys get to know us, and all my friends know this is why we're probably getting so many conflicts. Honesty is my number one value. So I love that we go this route. And Cage with Top Shot, it was, what they say, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right?
Yep.
Somebody tweeted, somebody put it in the Coffee with Cage. Hey, what is Top Shot? You went and did your research for an extensive amount of hours, and you used that to get into Top Shot. But not only that, you own the moments you own today, not because you just opened packs. You opened packs and strategically bought and sold. You day traded when there was a lot of volume, a lot of activity on the marketplace, and traded out of poor assets into really nice assets.
And guys, because we're honest, I want to talk about mistakes. Like when it was Dapper and I'm like, oh, wow, great. It's Dapper stuff, right? I'm going to use the Dapper, right? A lot of the stuff that sold last night, like you can look it up. Like I paid in Dapper dollars because look, real dollars into this, we're not talking real dollars. If we talk about my real dollars into this, I'm doing fine. But Dapper dollars, as I'm trying to move around Dapper, I would sell $50,000 in Dapper stuff of low end things and buy the Luca Hollow for 50, which sold for 26. That's a loss. right?
Well, Cage, let's talk about that because
Sure.
what you tried to do, you were sitting on that Dapper for a few weeks.
Yep.
And I rebought in with a smaller Dapper into what we thought was the bottom.
Correct.
we were
very wrong. We were very wrong. But I mean, I'm sitting there going, yeah, it looks like a loss, right? But if I was sold out of moments to get into Dapper, to basically just what I do with all my stuff, right? Which is color up. Like I would take Trey base cards and I color them up for a Trey purple out of 75, right? Which I still own. I don't own as base cards. I was doing the same thing with Top Shot. So it's easy to look at it and say, wow, your Luka Hollow sold for 26, you paid 50 for it. All right, but if I didn't pay 50 for that, I would have had $50,000 worth of other moments. The Kevin Durant's were at 1,500. Now they're at 200, right? The Kevin Durant moment that was $10 and went to 1,500 is now $200. I would have had LeBron's. I sold the LeBron Series 1, the one out of 3,000 and change. It was like $7,000. I think it's $1,400 now. So you can't look at it linear, right? You can't look at it like, wow, that Luka, it sold for half of what he paid for it. Well, I'm actually okay with half because everything I was holding to trade into that Luka has gone down. It's 20% of what it was. So
for sure.
It's a very different story. And yes, if you just look at it and say, oh, Goldin, this sold for this, that's so much less than the floor. There's a lot more to it than that. But I got to tell you, no complaints. I'm happy with it, and Top Shot since February has gone basically one direction, and it's the wrong one for anybody holding it. So.
Bucks win in overtime. Mavericks win by 10 against the Clippers, and Nets win by 11 in an ugly game. And then real quick, and Blazers beat the Nuggets. Which game you want to talk about?
Let's talk about all of them. The Bucks, Giannis better learn how to shoot free throws. Because they're obviously not taking him out at the end of the game, and you can't be like 4 for your first 10 and go like what did he go like 6 for 15 or some crazy number? And it seems like every time at the end of the game he's at the free throw line missing huge free throws to ice a game, and they get lucky. Not to mention, I guess this is today's game, so let's crap on Giannis. He had a great game. Obviously, he scored 30 points, had 15, 16, 17 rebounds, whatever the heck he had, right? But how in the hell at that last minute in a tie game is Chris Middleton the one taking a shot? I mean, that's a different NBA for me.
I think it's the right play.
I think it is also. I think so. I'm not saying it's the wrong play.
Do you know what that shot reminded me of? So back, I think it was 2008. It was the Suns had the best record. Nash was MVP. Maybe it's 2007. Nash gets tied up. There's a jump ball at half court overtime. They're leading by 1 point, 98-97 versus the Lakers. The Lakers win the tip. Kobe gets the ball, comes across half court, game winner from that same spot where Chris Middleton hit that shot. As soon as Chris Middleton hit that shot, I said, that reminds me of the Kobe game winner against the Suns.
But you know what the difference is, though? It was Kobe taking it, right? So it's amazing, right? Because here's my take on it. Not the wrong play. Right play, because Giannis is being quadruple covered, basically. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody thinks it's going to go to Giannis, right? Plus, Giannis can't create his own offense, right? So it's a different kind of player. But here, from a cardboard perspective, cardboard relevance, if you're holding Giannis cards, I'm a little nervous today. Because that guy in clutch, he misses free throws. If I'm his coach, I'm thinking, what the hell am I going to do with this guy? I'm actually going to take him out on offense. Because he's not going to be the one holding the ball for the last-minute shot to create his own offense. And if he gets fouled, he's going to be missing free throws, right?
Well, this is why Coach Bud is such a bad coach. They should never get Giannis the ball at the end of the games. These little nuances are really I don't get. Like, he doesn't miss foul shots just because he misses foul shots. He just doesn't have the skill to make foul shots. Like, he can't – like Chris Middleton, that was a shot that he practices, okay? Yep. He gets to his spot – he rises up and he shoots. At the end of the day, there's only so much you can learn. If you don't have that tool in your tool belt, magic isn't going to save you.
But guess what? Isn't that scary, though? I mean, we're talking about Giannis cards, right? I mean, does that tell you there is a ceiling on Giannis? And that people who are holding his cardboard should be aware of that? I agree entirely.
I think it tells me that Giannis is going to end his career as a Pippen if he wants to win a championship. I personally, and if we just go to the Mavs game, this to me is why Luka is so head and shoulders above everyone else, because he can do what Giannis does. He could play make. He could put pressure on your defense. He could get other people involved. He's not as great of a defender, obviously, but he could also just take over a game.
Dude, that was a close game. That was a very close game until the end, and then Dallas just turned it on. And I mean, at the end there, when it was like in the 90s and it was a close game, did you see Luka? Well, I love Luka and he had a great game. But you see him miss two. He had like 2 air balls in a row on one possession.
Yeah,
I was like,
bad
what?
air balls.
I was like, what was that? You know, like did somebody poke him in the eye like LeBron, but he just didn't writhe around in pain on the ground, and he just didn't tell anyone he got poked in the eye? What happened there? That was ugly, and that could have cost the game, and then the narrative on Luka would have been very, very different. Kawhi looked good. Luka's throwing up air balls, and then Tim Hardaway comes and saves the day.
Saves the day relative.
Yes, exactly. He is a relative of Tim Hardaway Sr. But yes, I know what you mean relative. But Luka, it's so funny, dude. So I have people who are friends of mine who don't collect cards as much and don't watch basketball, right? They're baseball guys, you name it. And I always tell them, I'm like, just watch Luka. And they'll message me at the end of the game, and they're like, as the fourth quarter, it's like, oh, it's close. I'm going to watch this. Luka, hey, how come when I watch Luka, he's not really doing anything? He doesn't look like he's doing anything. I said, do me a favor, just look at the box score. It's every time, literally the same conversation. Every time I look at the box score, and they're like, "Why? He's not doing anything." I look at the box score, and he goes, "Holy cow! He's got 31 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds. He's gonna have a 30-point triple double." And I didn't even realize it. Like, how quietly does he put up a 30-point triple double every game?
I'll tell you, I think this benefited me playing soccer, and specifically indoor soccer. Basketball is a series of one-on-one battles everywhere on the court. Okay. And what makes Luka special? If you want to watch Luka, watch him from this lens. The guy in front of him, he can never keep Luka in front of him. Luka always beats the first guy. And that is so subtle. And he does that in such control too. He's always able to beat the first guy off the dribble. And now you're playing 5 against 4. And that's why when he gets into the paint, he's always beats his first guy. Literally almost always. I don't know how he does it because he does it so slowly. There's always guys open. And he's so incredibly creative in how to get those guys open shots. That's the angle I would watch.
Before we move on to the next series, I'll make a statement about that one. There is not a team right now that has more pressure on them than the Clippers.
I agree.
And I was watching, it was like 2 a.m. last night. I was watching ESPN, and is it Jalen Rose? He's on one of the shows that he was on, and he says, listen, at one point I looked at Twitter. He goes, I got social media like the rest of you guys, and both Playoff P and what was the other one? It's Playoff P and what do they call Paul George? Playoff P, and there's another
Pandemic
one.
P.
Yeah,
Pandemic P.
He goes, Playoff P and Pandemic P were both trending at the exact same time. He goes, people are watching and talking, and Paul George has to show up. There's a lot of pressure. I think Dallas wins that series, which is, it's an
I think so too. Here's my issue with them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that one possession where Rondo blocked the shot at the end of the game? It was right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, it's a 3-point game, and you guys now are playing the most intense defense of the game. You guys have a roster that's deeper than any roster in the NBA. I'll even say they're deeper than the Nets. They have very good players. Why don't you start? No team that could keep up with you. And if you get tired, raise your hand. Your coach will sub someone else in. You guys have the opportunity to be the best defensive team out there. Kawhi, Paul George, Serge Ibaka, Rondo, Terrence Mann. I'm missing people.
So let's talk really quick.
The best.
You
and
said
they play
the Nets,
with no intensity.
You're 100%
no
right,
intensity.
man. But, I mean, they got to do it. They got to play with some. But you know what? You've talked about this before we jump into the Nets, right? That's Kawhi, right? That's their leader, right? Right? And you played on teams, right? Your team takes on the identity of your leader. And if your leader is Kawhi, you're going into battle following Kawhi, and Kawhi has no energy, and Kawhi is just like, all right, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this, but he's not putting fear into the troops. He's not.
It's true.
You could never have our freedom. He's not doing the whole rally the troops. He just doesn't. So
that's why Lowry and Van Vliet were so special to that team, huh?
Yep, 100%. Those are energy guys.
When they went with the Raptors.
Yeah, yes, that's an energy guys, and that's the story there, right? And he's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not crapping on Kawhi. I love Kawhi. I think he's fantastic talent. But if he's the alpha, if he's the guy, maybe you need a beta. Paul George doesn't also seem like the guy who's rallying the troops, right? So
he's
not. That's part of what's missing on that team. The Nets. Here's what I'll say about the Nets, and then I want to hear what you say. The Nets, as great as the big three were, scoring like 88 of their 104 points, right? Like as great as they were, because I think Joe Harris had 12 and Nick Claxton had like 4, and that was the whole rest of that was it. As great as they were, they won that game yesterday on their defense. 100% it was their defense, their man-to-man defense, their ball defense, and they basically were the first half. The Boston was playing from the front, and the Nets looked, maybe they were a little rusty because they had a nice little, break there. Maybe they looked disorganized. Steve Nash looks like he doesn't have to coach. He looks like he doesn't say a word. He just sits on the bench and says, "Okay, guys."
Manages personality. That's equally important.
But whatever happened at halftime, they came out. That third quarter was impressive. It was impressive. It was an impressive third quarter. They just said, we're going to play crazy ball defense. Durant played great defense. Kyrie, as always, played great. Even Harden played great defense. They were clamping down, playing real great man-to-man, stealing the ball. I mean, just really pressuring it. And that just turned the whole game around, right? And once they get a lead with that offense against a Celtics team that really just doesn't have much more than Tatum, then we weren't going to catch them. I was watching with a Celtics fan, actually, at their house, and he's like, all right, it's over. As soon as the Nets took the lead at third, he's like, they're never getting it back. And he was right. He goes, the Celtics just don't have the firepower to match up with them. You got to be playing from ahead against this Nets team. You really have to.
You know who I love? I love the way Doris Burke commentates. You a fan?
Drake. So does Drake. Drake got a big crush on her.
Drake Magruder from our community,
Drake the rapper.
Oh, okay. I'd box Drake. Like, those like celebrity boxing matches. I'd go after Drake for.
No, I'm telling you,
for the chance to take Doris Burke for a nice seafood dinner and never call her again. No, I would call you Doris. I promise. I love the way she understands the game so well. By the way, real quick, I don't want to forget this amazing commercial by the WNBA. I don't know if you saw it. Our issue isn't that we don't have MVPs. Our issue isn't that we don't dunk. Our issue isn't that we don't talk trash. Our issue is that you don't watch. And they did a really smart thing. They partnered with Nike on that branded commercial. I'm excited for the WNBA. They're doing some things really right. When they stopped attacking the NBA for how much they make and started pushing, we're good too, and started building up their own brand, I'm excited for the future of the WNBA. The issue, or the strength of the Nets is that their top three guys, back to what I just mentioned, NBA and basketball is a one-on-one game all over the court. Three of their main guys could beat the defender in front of them off the dribble and score on three levels, as Doris Burke said. They could shoot from three, they could shoot from mid-range, they could get to the cup, and they could play make. It's just so difficult to stop, and they're all amazing free throw shooters. Yep, if Giannis shoots 46%, these guys shoot 85% from. It's just going to be tough.
If they play defense like they played last night, I don't know how they were able to play that kind of clamp down defense. They play that kind of defense for the whole playoffs. There's no way they don't win. They're going to win.
Who's the Batman? Who's the Batman on that team? Who's Superman?
Matter.
Who's the A?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. They could be the Justice League. Everybody has a role.
Okay.
So talk to me about.
They're Marvel.
Talk to me about Portland against Denver last night.
I mean, I said it a few times. I said if the West is wide open, why can't Portland go through? I said that a few episodes ago.
That was my pick too. That was my surprise play is Portland, right? But here's what's funny. Jokic is good, but he's not enough. Jokic is good, but he's not enough. Michael Porter Jr., as good as he is from two, that's how bad he is from three. I mean, he basically made every two-pointer and missed every three-pointer last night. He took a lot of threes. So that guy, and he was exposed in the first half, a lot of defensive problems. But that said, I expect that to be a very good series. Right? I expect it to be a very good series. It was very close there in the third quarter. And a couple of fun in-game stuff. Number one, Carmelo go back to Denver. I didn't realize they were going to boo him like that, right? Because I'm a Melo fan. They booed him. And did you see what he did? He scored like 12 points in the first 4 minutes. I mean, I love that stuff. That's just great stuff. It's like, hey, remember who I am, which is fun. But one-on-ones, you talk about one-on-ones with the Nets, you talk about one-on-ones with Luka, all right? The dude needs a sliver of space. My play is go put some respect on Damian Lillard's cards. This guy is good. He is good. And his 2012 Prism cards and his RPAs, they all pale in comparison to like Anthony Davis's cards, even Kawhi's cards. I know Kawhi's done it and Anthony Davis has won a championship, right? But those guys, Lillard is an alpha. You just talked about go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, I think you just talk about how Giannis is doomed to be a Robin or a Pippen, right? I mean, you asked about Batman. I don't care. You got a future Hall of Famer, top 10 scorer on that team. You got McCollum on there. There is no way anybody's wearing the bat mask and the cape and driving around the Batmobile other than Lillard. I mean, that's clear on that team, right? Go ahead.
You know what that team reminds me of? And you know what Lillard's career could remind me of a little bit? Because that was actually my play today, but I'm going to go a different route with it.
Nice.
Dirk Nowitzki.
All right.
You know, Dirk
Like put the
Nowitzki
team
won.
on your back. He has some talent around it, but he put it on his back, and you knew it was his team.
Beloved. First off, you got to have, Portland loves that guy. Dallas loved Nowitzki.
Yep.
True alpha, true winner, true high character guy. Both. And then they both won one championship, but even before they won that championship, people knew their greatness. That championship was a cherry on the top. And they did it what we consider, I think, as fans, the right way. We stay with our team. We go through the ups and downs. We don't jet, and we make it work, and then eventually it will break for us. Will it break for it is even a down year in the NBA, but I think it's a down year in the West because the talent is so spread out. And I really see this Portland team having that edge right now to get out of the West. I really do.
Listen, I don't know if they get out of the West. I honestly don't know if they get out of the West in full. But this is a good series. They're going to give them a better series than probably people thought. If I'm Denver, I'm just basically – I tell the guys, Jokic may score 100. He may do it Will Chamberlain in game 2. Like no one else should be touching the ball. Just give it to him inside because Portland really doesn't have anybody to handle him, right? And if you watch the game, and I watched it, it was late, the commentators were saying, like, when do you get Jokic in? It was like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Portland was pulling away. Denver was kind of keeping it close, but then Portland started to hit shots again, and they're like, where's Jokic? Like, you got to get him in. And they're like, yeah, getting him in. They got to get him in now. And I think they waited a little too long to bring him in. Portland just they don't have – who's going to cover him? Covington? I mean, Nurkic did a decent enough job, right? I mean, but I just think Jokic can have his way. He's got 50 points easy.
I think they'd lose even if he scores 50. I think it's going to be a sweep, maybe a gentleman's sweep.
Wow.
I just don't think
all right, we'll see.
Portland's clicking. So even if the Nuggets, let's say Joker scores 50, Porter scores 30, where are the other 45 points coming from?
So you know why I think it's difficult to say a sweep and stuff like that, and we talk about how Dallas can win the game, Portland's going to win the series, Dallas can win the series. Both of those games in the fourth quarter where a couple minutes left, the Dallas game was tied, and Portland was only up, 3 points, 5 points. Like, they were both games that one shot, one defensive stand, one play either way would have and could have shifted that game. So it's not as clear cut, and this better than anybody, man. It's all about the ball bouncing, right? It's, even though there are these great guys who can dictate a game in the NBA, and there's one superstar that can control it, right? You see one bounce, like Steph Curry is not in the playoffs now. I mean, that's 1 or 2 bounces away from him being in the playoffs, right? It's an overtime game on the Grizzlies one, and the Lakers, it's LeBron hitting that one shot at the end. So, the difference between these teams is it's not that much. To say for a sweep, it's interesting because there was a time, yeah, please.
I go one layer below the bounces because to get the right bounces, you have to right. I said before this, I think the Nuggets really miss Jamal Murray. And the Warriors, it wasn't that they missed the bounce. They didn't have a player to go and even get them in the luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
I hear you. That's been the theory. That's been the
Who's going to get buckets? Who's going to get the buckets for the Nuggets?
All right, I say Lillard is the play. And I agree with you. I just don't know about a sweep. Just because I think Denver's a good team, and I think Jokic could win a game by himself. But you say no. You say he can dominate and still lose, which he basically did yesterday. So I can't say you're wrong.
He's so good,
man.
He
had a monstrous game, and they still lost, right? So
he's really crafty. He's really
tell me,
crafty.
What's your play?
I had 3 plays for today, but I had 3 guys to take a look at.
Go.
So Lillard was 1, Melo was 2, Tom Brady was 3. And I would go Tom Brady 2000. I love the 2008 Topps Chrome set. I don't know why. I just think it's going to be another kind of iconic set. You could get Tom Brady 2008 base cards. It's the TC3 card with Patriots across the top for $30.
Wow.
So I would be looking at Brady. I think $24, 24. It's a cool card, and it's a really cheap entry point for Brady. And I think Brady's got one more in the tank. Remember how the Lakers came out this season and they were just blitzing everybody like the first 15, 20 games?
Yep.
I kind of like Brady. There was like the comment like only learn the playbook by week 12. I don't know if you saw that. It takes some time. Well, it takes some time. It was a new system, new roster, different everything. I think they come out and I think they ride this momentum and come out 4, 5, 6, 6-0. Then the middle of the season kind of plays its thing, but I think they come out hot, and I'll buy a few Brady cards. Okay. And when they come out hot, I would sell into the profit and I would be sitting on house money and let the rest ride. Cause I think it would be foolish to bet against Brady winning the Super Bowl this year.
So what do you say? What's the theme that runs through this? Luck and opportunity. What is it? What do you say?
Luck is where preparation meets opportunity.
Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So I'll try to remember that. But you know what else we talked about here? It's history repeating itself, and if you forget about history, it's doomed to repeat it, right? So here's what's funny. Why I love your play is Brady seems to follow the other guys, right? So when the 2012 Prism, Kobe and LeBron got hot, and people were buying those things, it took a little while, but then people went and found the Brady from 2012 Prism, right? It kind of like it drafted off of those basketball plays. Well, people are buying the Chrome cards for Kobe and LeBron now. So why not look at those same year Chromes for Tom Brady? Because that seems to be what happens, right? People will jump from basketball to football, buy those GOATs, buy those kind of things. So if you can still get those cards in the 20s, I think it's a pretty smart play. Well done.
And honestly, these cheap plays are the ones that I would be sending HGA because here's how you win both ways with that. They're cool looking cards and you're in them cheap. And if you get in the queue, you have a really cool looking card and a cool slab. You can maybe get a custom slab. While you're waiting for PSA to open up, I think, everyone's like, I don't know if I should send to HJ because I could only send 5 cards at a time. Well, you don't have to send your whole collection. Some cool iconic cards like this that you wouldn't mind PCing, and you're into a Brady card for $35-$45. Like, I think it's worthwhile. It's fun.
I'm strategic with the stuff that I'm sending to HGA. I have a whole bunch of checkerboard cards. Like I pulled the Jonathan Taylor, the rookies checkerboard last year out of Donruss. And that's gonna look cool. I'm gonna have to do a custom checkerboard slab for the top of it, and it's a cool card. It's not gonna get me thousands of dollars, but it just looks cool in that slab. So I'm with you. I hear you, and especially with PSA closed, why the hell not?
Amazing episode. Enjoy Sunday. We love you, Luca Nation. Peace.
Thanks, everybody.